I like it. I can see
Kind of
you.
fun.
I can see you.
Yeah. Yeah. We're just so far apart from each other.
We are far apart, but
And there's so much in between, right?
Yeah.
am I staying in time with you?
Yeah.
Being that far apart?
I'm just trying to play that FF bell is really kind of hard. It seems very loud to me.
Yeah. But I hardly hear it.
Okay. Okay. Good. Because that's all I hear, of course.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to tell.
Well, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to the 11th Annual Concert for Peace. It's part of the Simple Gifts concert series here at Glenview Community Church. In addition to peace, we will also address the idea of justice. Justice. Now, there's a word that gets thrown around quite freely. I know I started saying it regularly in the Pledge of Allegiance at the age of 4 in school, with liberty and justice for all. And as a little kid, I invariably pictured the Statue of Liberty, Lady Liberty, when I said those words. I don't know why I didn't give more attention to Lady Justice. The Romans had Justitia, their goddess of justice. The Greeks had Themis, and both are shown in artistic representations as holding a set of scales. That depiction goes back to the Egyptian goddess Mot and later Isis. At the Shelby County Courthouse in Memphis, Tennessee, the goddess is weighing competing claims. I am sometimes frustrated by the seeming inability of our justice system to do anything more than weigh competing claims. I guess I'm looking for something like absolute truth, and that concept has been replaced by fungible facts. Along with carrying scales, Lady Justice is often pictured as being blindfolded. Whether blind to injustice or impartial, it's not entirely clear. Of course, she usually has a sword, too, representing swift and absolute, not to mention violent justice. Except in India, where last year the Supreme Court ordered that the new official template for Lady Justice should eliminate the blindfold and replace the sword with a book representing the Constitution. I wish it were that easy to put away violence and replace it with knowledge and a rules-based order that uplifts everyone. And actually, I'm not sure that I want to put away violence right now. I know, not what you would expect to hear at a peace concert. My real gut level instinct is that I want to kick some butt right now. And then we can pursue peace. I know what makes me feel this way. It's the polarizing media coming at us so relentlessly. We're supposed to pick sides. Now, don't get me wrong, there are things that are happening in our country that I don't condone in the least, and I feel it would be immoral not to pick a side. Towards fascism is not the direction we should be going, despite how difficult it is to maintain democracy. Fascism can only dispense so-called cowboy justice or frontier justice. Extrajudicial punishment outside of the legal system, we definitely don't want that, do we? As tempting as it can be, I do ultimately reject this transactional kind of response. That is vengeance, not justice. The theme for this concert came from a quote of Martin Luther King Jr. In the final analysis, there can be no peace without justice, and no justice without peace. Dr. King said this in a speech outside the United Nations headquarters in 1967. He was there to read aloud a petition for peace in direct response to the Vietnam War. It's such a relevant idea for us today. There can be no peace in Ukraine without justice. This applies equally in Gaza and in every other conflict in the world. We really can't have one without the other. Searching for music that addresses this year's theme, I Googled contemporary songs about justice, as one does. The last song on our program came up, God of Justice. Of course, the real clincher in my deciding to program it was the guy's last name. His name is Tim Hughes. No relation, by the way. But I do really like the song's reference to the verse from the Old Testament book of Micah. A very basic translation would be, do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. Some translations use the word kindness instead of mercy, but I think the idea is the same. I've always found the love mercy part to be particularly notable. We're not only supposed to be merciful, but we're supposed to love mercy. That is an extra level of commitment to the well-being of my fellow humans, and I find it to be a real challenge sometimes. It's a real challenge simply to find areas of agreement in our seriously divided world. But I do hope we can agree at the most basic level that justice, mercy, and humility are positive things. And if we can agree on that, we can begin to make some steps toward peace. This year, the beneficiary of the concert will be Building Peaceful Bridges. They do wonderful work helping immigrants get settled in the US, and you'll hear more about them later. We'll take up a free will collection, and there will also be baskets outside the doors. And please plan to stay after the concert to enjoy refreshments and an art installation in the Commons area. Now I'd like to introduce the Song of Peace that the Joyful Ringers will play for us. These are the notes from the composer Arnold Sherman. Song of Peace is a reflection of the way the world has treated peace almost from the beginning of time. The gentle round Dona Nobis Pacem is given a rather harsh, angular treatment, representing the needless violence and senseless acts of terrorism that plague the world almost on a daily basis. An original lament-like melody is interspersed with the round, echoing the psalmist's cry, "How long, O Lord, how long?" The dissonance builds and rises and finally stops. Out of the cacophony comes the round once again, this time in a much more harmonious setting, signifying our eternal hope that peace will come one day for all humankind.
Thank you.